All right, so I did a brand new installation on my desktop here, so it is right now pretty much empty. I'm just going to create a new database here, and we'll create that. So it's a good headway. We can do that. What I have shared with you yesterday. If I haven't, I'll share with you guys again. From the book, I have shared with you guys the script, but if not, I will have shared. Yeah, I have shared with you on the email, so I have it. I have shared it with you guys. I'll go and run that script back again. For Kim Tae, I will need to run that SQL file. So I can just go here. As you can see, it's under my data files Kim Tae folder under this path. So I'll just copy that, close that out, go to, I'll just probably have to create a new database, which will be Kim Tae database. Let's make sure. Kim Tae script. Okay. So I'm just going to create a database again. It's created, it's fresh, nothing inside it, no tables. With that script that I gave you yesterday, you can say click open this file. I think it should be working, and I'll just paste the path. And here is the SQL Server file for it. All the hard work which we have done is there. It's loaded. I don't need to select anything. I'll just try to execute it. It's using SQL Server Kim Tae schema. So I think it should run, and I'm at the Kim Tae database. I'm pretty confident it will run. So I'll just say run it. Everything done for me. So now if I'll go here, tables, and say refresh tables. Here you go. Customer table created. So that's the benefit of having .sql file, because what does a .sql file does? All you write, everything in skip, boom, and when you execute it, it is done. So that's what I like about .sql files. So you can create all of your script, give it to your test department, just like I have done it on my laptop. That was my development part. Now I'm wanting to move the data to another server. So what I did, I just created a new database, which if it is already created, no problem. But if it is not created, I have created it. I can even create my database with this script, but no need to worry about it. I created that, and then I just ran that script. Boom, it is created. If I have not gone over this statement just checks drop table if exist. If if it exists, it will recreate it. So before, because what happens if you try to recreate this one again without dropping it, it will give you an error that this item already exists. This item. So it is necessary that you need to drop that item and recreate it, kind of a recreation part. If it is not created, what you will be, if it is already created, what are the things that you will going to be doing? You will be either altering the structure of the table, schema structure of the table, or you will be adding a new field, renaming a new field, renaming a existing field, uh, or adding a new column, right? Those are the so um, any infrastructure or schema related changes will be done with the alter table commands, which we'll learn at some point. But now the data is there. I'm back to where I was yesterday. I don't know whether I have saved any work from yesterday, but not. If not, that's not a problem. Uh, I'm bare bones set up again with that. Let's look at what we were covering yesterday, and I want to see how many people are in the class. Okay. Hmm. Okay, so now next thing I'm going to be doing is Going back to the assignment section. So I'm doing all the hard work for the module number 1 Kim Tae assignment. You guys will be doing hard work for module 1 case exercise stay well accommodation. Okay, so you should be able to set up that. Right now in my fresh computer I don't have any Kim Tae setup, but I can. So I can give you the script of setting up the stay well accommodation database, but it will be a good practice for you that you will create all the script and insert the data. It's just a good practice to have, what fields you are one time at least, or a couple of times at least in your career, you should be creating some tables so you have a feeling of it. After that, if you get the script from somewhere and copy and paste it and run it, you know what you are doing because you know all the essence of insert, create, drop, right? So all those tables are there. So I'm opening up the exercise book. Assignment 1. And we have covered up until like question 6 yesterday, I think, for the most part. Item ID description. So yesterday we were working and one of the solution was to show the item with the least price, least expensive item. So if I go back, let's start from there. Least expensive item. So select top 100 rows, get rid of this. I don't have to type anything. Everything is here. Now, if I need to find out the item ID and description, let's start with there. So we need to find the least product. So first thing first I will be doing is order by least expensive item. So I will be going by price, and I can type ASC, which means by ascending order, but this is by default. It happens, but for descending order, you definitely need to type DESC. Okay, so let's run that out. I don't know why there's squiggly. Oh, DESC, sorry, DESC. And these red marks, I don't know, it should be able to recognize the syntax, but it is showing the red marks. I'm not worried about it, but it is now reading. So it is the most expensive item that we are seeing. So if I want to just say it top 1, it will show me only one row, which is this top 1 row. Run it. Run it. It's showing me the top expensive item. But if I say nothing, or if I type ASC, same thing, doesn't really matter. Ascending order, or by default, it always sorts in ascending order anyways. So I'll just leave it at that. This one. Now, you might be asking, there is another way of doing it. Only one person has shown me how to do it another way, but I will show you another way as well. Okay, so let's break down this problem into 2 problems. Select minimum, and I'm going to be coming back to the detailed part of it in a moment, but let's say minimum of the price from select minimum price, Control C, from Control V. Sorry, I just typed right from twice. So let's run this. Okay, so I can get the minimum price. So we can still get or utilize this query, and this is the new problem that we are going to take care. We're going to look at is that how we can leverage the second query to give us the result. Okay, so let's do that. Let's start with this. I want I want some information. I need, as per the problem here, it says you need to show item description, item ID, description, and price. Okay, so let's do that. I will do it wrong and then I will do it correct as well. Item underscore ID, comma, description, that's why I hate typing in the class, and price, so minimum price. But there's a problem here. I want to run this query only, so I'll just select this part and I'll try to run this query. Here's the problem. Here it is, what it is saying, that you are, it is giving me a weird error. It is saying it is invalid in the selected statement because it is not contained either in aggregate function or in the group by clause. Let's ignore that for now. We know that that's what our first instinct that we are going to be writing. Item ID, description, and the item with the minimum price. If I used to be go back 20 years back in my career, I would be frustrated and I will be writing the same kind of a query, right? But I have found one solution which I've shown you earlier in the class and yesterday as well. But I would like to do this way because I know there is a minimum price I already retrieved. So all I need to add 2 more columns and be done with it. But this problem cannot be done this way as you think. It has to be done by breaking problem into 2 problems. First, you get the minimum price. And this is you get it by getting the minimum price. And then you will be saying where price equal, sorry, where price equals to, okay, what this query is doing, it is giving me a number. It is giving me a number, minimum possible number of the price. So where price is the minimum number that you will get from which query? This subquery. So this problem is now broken down into 2 problems. First, your task was to get the minimum price, which you have already achieved. Now you map that minimum price into an outer query which says that where price is equals to minimum price, which you have already achieved, 19.99, this price will be matched with the 19.99 that you are getting from the subquery, and then it will return you the result of that. Let's make it look a little nicer. Making it nicer is not my target here. Just wanted to show you that yes, now if I run this query, the outer query will be solved later. Inner query will be solved first. And that's the essence of it that you need to learn. That in SQL or in mathematics, what will be solved first? Inner problems or inner brackets are solved first. So this inner bracket will be solved first, returning you the minimum price, which is 19.99. Now you are going to say that where in the outer query you are saying get the price from the outer query column and then match it again with the minimum that is being returned. So think of it, one problem is already solved. Now you are solving out the outer problem. So you remember for loop, if you have 2 for loops, one is the outer for loop and one is the inner for loop. Which will be solved first? The inner for loop will be solved first. The inner query will be solved first, and the outer for loop or outer query will be solved afterwards. So now if I run this query, it is going to return me all of the record, and that is what essentially Dean sent me the query yesterday. So if I'll just run it and want to show what columns that I need to show, I will just say I need to show these 2 columns. So I'll say control. So I'll go here and I'm showing you some more shortcuts. So copy with header. Okay. If I'm too lazy to type anything, I'll say copy with header. Just paste underneath. Get rid of these 2 because now you have essentially pasted the whole row, but you don't need the data. So data you can get rid of. Put the comma in between item and ID and description. Off you go. Cut this and get rid of this and place it here. So now you have basically done it with a smart move that you don't even have to type it. Sometimes I do that because if I have 20 columns to show, not all the columns to show, let's say 25 columns, but you want to show only 20 columns. So what I do, either go and create a new select query for that and then copy and paste that way, or if I'm too cheap, I'll just go and copy and paste it, get rid of it, put the commas in between, and done. So now if I'll go ahead and run and actually show the price as well, that's what's been asked. Basically 19.99 is returned. So basically price is 19.99. When you run this query, price will come out to be 19.99. All you are doing is showing the columns which you need. If you want to show category, you can show the category as well. Let's run this. So now this is essentially the same result which we have in the previous query. So you can write both ways, but I like this way. You are breaking down the problem. That was hiding. I was hiding from this inner query. But later on in your careers, when you will be writing queries, you will not be hiding. You will be uh, facing the SQL on or face to face. So make sure you understand the meaning of everything, what is actually essentially happening. Any questions on that? So if I say give me the items with the maximum price, all I need to do maximum, done, 199. And here it will show only one because the yield of this result is only coming out to be one. Okay. Next questions. Question number 7. For each invoice, list the invoice number, date, customer ID, and customer's first name and last name. Can you guys do that? Looks like an easy one. For each invoice, list the invoice number. Yeah, invoice number is there. Oh, okay. Here is the joining coming in. Okay, from question number 7, the join coming in. If you are comfortable with the joins, which I taught you in introduction to database, should be able to do that. If you're not, I will try it. I will help you guys with that. Try that out, please. Let's see if I can give you this. While you guys do that, I'm going to do something else. I'm going to work here a little bit. I'll leave you guys with that. Do that. I'm going to help you with that in a moment. But I'm going to show you something else afterwards. Now the more than 2 tables are coming in. No feedback yet. I'm waiting for it. All right. If it's taking enough time, I will just gonna do it myself. Okay, so what's the now here are the two things that you need to understand. Here the join is coming because what they are asking in this problem, if you have it in front of your uh, invoice number, invoice date, customer ID, and customer's first name and last name. Okay, so if you look at the invoice table, you have invoice number and invoice date. Then you also have customer ID. So 3 things are taken care of. But problem is customer ID name and first name and last name is present in the customer's table. So you have to fetch part of the data from there. Okay, so how are you gonna do that? There is 2 ways you can do it: shortcut and learning, both. Let's start with the shortcut. You will like both. Sometimes you will say that I'm more manual, but that's okay. I make mistakes in manual and learn from that. So invoices will come, and then you will have customer will come here, and then you close. It has automatically created the join for you, coding for you. It is saying it's an inner join. And all you need to do, start dragging the column names. So what are the column names it is asking? From the invoice table, it is asking me the invoice number. So drag it here, invoice date, drag it here, just like Microsoft SQL Access. And then join is already happened, and you're gonna change the first name and the last name. Just have to increase the length a little bit so I can have a, yeah. So I can just change it up, click OK, and here you go. Once I click OK, it brought all the data from there, and I can just run it. Now I'm missing the ID, so that's okay. If I miss the ID or didn't type it, I can type it. I don't have to open up my editor again. I can just say comma invoices dot customer ID. It is missing the autofill feature. Usually in SQL Server, it automatically brings it for me, but if it is not, I'm annoyed with it, but if it is not, I'm okay with that, but should not be doing it for me. It does bring it those autofill features. Customer ID. Yeah, there you go. Customer ID is there. Invoice number, and if you want to make it look nicer, you can say as invoice number, and if you have a space in between, you can put it like this, or you can also put it like this. So I like this kind of flexibility in SQL Server, which I don't find it in Oracle, because Oracle says has to be in the codes or something like that. Then I have to go back and change all the codes into blah blah blah. So I'll say invoice date and blah blah. So you can rename all the columns that you want. Run it. Invoice number, nicely showing. Invoice date, customer ID, first name, last name. Is that what is required? Yes. So the join is happening. So now, if you look at the join, invoice number is joined with the customer on where invoice.customer ID is equals to customer.customer ID, and that's what we have seen in Introduction to Database course. Inner join does it this way. There are some other joins that we have learned. We can go through as we encounter the examples, or it's been asked in the course. I'm sure there will be some. Let's move on to the next question. Question number 8. For each of the invoice placed on November 16, list the invoice number, customer ID, and customer first name and last name. This is very easy. We just need to see the invoices that are being invoiced on November 16. So only two of these should appear. All of the rest of the result should not appear. So what we're going to be doing there? I need answer here, please. Should be very easy. So I just need these two records. So I can align it however I want it. Really doesn't matter as long as my syntax is correct. This is however I want to write it. Really doesn't matter, it's a code. Now if I'll go here, I need to add a where clause. So after on, where invoices dot I will not be using the alias. Keep in mind, I'm not going to use alias now because alias of this column is created in this query. Invoices.invoice date is equals to, what's the date? Just copy this date, paste it here, run it. All those invoices that were created on November 16 are going to show here like this. Just going to remember if that's the. And good part is with SQL Server does not mind if the date time field is entered with dashes or without dashes. Has to be good, looks good with the dashes. And it says, if you write it like this as well, 16-nav-2021, right? It is not complaining about it. That's beauty, because I hate that I have to be very specific again in Oracle. Most of the time, I like the dates to be like this. This is my world of standard, that I like dates to be like this all the time. Even my system date is set up like this if you look at the corner, bottom corner. So yes, dates, you can write as many times as you want. You can write it as this. So what if I want November 16th and November 18th, not November 19th? Or maybe just say November 16th and November 19th, but not November 18th. Let's make it a little interesting. So what you will do, where invoice date is equals to this, or November 19th. So November 18th will be ignored. You are not talking about between, you are specific about November 16th and November 19th. So you will have to mention the dates specifically like this. So now if I run this, November 16 and November 19 are showing up. What if I say invoice date is greater than or equals to some November 16 and invoice date is less than or equals to 19. So it will include November 16th, November 17th, November 18th, November 19th. All dates greater than and equals to 16th will be involved. It's not that 16 will be ignored. 16 will only be ignored when I will take off this part. But if I need to include 16, I will need to put equals to sign. So now this will bring up almost all the data if I run it. 16, 17 I think is not there, 18 is here, 19 is here. So you are seeing all the dates between this and this date. Between this is. I can also change it where invoice date. So I'm just gonna keep this line. I will going to be commenting this line, so this line will not be executed, but where Control V, I'm just copying and pasting invoice date between this date and with between. What happens with between, it makes it a little simpler. The above same line can be written using this date column only once, using the between this and this, and I'm sure when I'll run it I will not get any error. Yeah, so you can use between or you can use this line. I like this one. Personal preferences doesn't really matter. I mean, it's not an error. So there are a few ways that you are learning that one thing that you can do in one way. This is more clarity. This is adding more clarity to me. Greater than and equals to, less than and equals to. Between means the starting date is this, ending date is this. Same thing, same idea. For commenting, just put a dash dash. Nobody is going to challenge you why you put a comment. Just for your remembrance that later on I keep all my comments in my codes, so that if I am in doubt that one part of my code is working and the other part of my code is not working, I uncomment it and do some validity, do some testing on that. Here, this is a very simple case. I don't have to worry about. But I do, if I'm getting some results, some productive results, same results, I keep them commented that this query is equivalent to this query. So I am able to correlate later. Coming back to the problem, let's go ahead and delete that. I just want to keep one where invoice date equals to this, or invoice date equals to this date. Remember this? We were doing that we want November 16 and November 19 only, right? So if I'll go ahead and run this, obviously it will going to be showing me November 16 and 19. So if I can use, I need to understand what is the purpose of and, what is the purpose of or. Or means either this or that. And means in between the range, in between the range. And we have seen that using the between clause, I actually got the same result when I use the between keyword and use the date, and when I use greater than or equals to and use the and in between. Or means either this or this. So can I write or a different way? Yes, we can. Let's look at that as well. Let's look at the equivalent result for this as well. So comment this line up, copy and paste this line back. And I'm going to remove or. Okay, or is removed. Invoice date will be removed. And I can change this to in comma. Here you go. So now this is actually essentially equals to or. Let's prove that. 3 rows. And how many rows? Should get 3 rows when I'll run this query. So in, you will mention specific cases, and or you are especially writing the specific cases. So you have to have a very clear understanding of what is in with in can be replaced with or can be replaced with in, between can be replaced with and between can have a range. Questions? So November 16th question number 8 should be done as well. Question number 9. List the sales rep ID, first name, last name for every sales rep who represent at least one customer with the credit limit of 1,000. Let's come to this credit limit part of 1,000 later on. So this is just a where clause condition. First thing first is need to find out the join between the tables. What is the, for any problem that involves 2 tables, first challenge is to fix the join. So let me write this time by typing it out. Okay, let's type this one out. So what tables are there? Select all from which table? Sorry, that's okay. You can watch my recording afterwards. So select all from dbo dot, why autocomplete is missing, sales underscore wrap. Okay, let's name this whole table select all from dbo dot sales wrap as wrap. Do you agree? I'm creating a table. So now sales rep is now alias to be a wrap. No problem. It says okay. If you want to create the alias of the table, I have no issues. Or I can type it as wrap. Select all from DBO sales rep as wrap. So now sales rep, I can type this or I can name it as a wrap, shorthand of the sales rep. What is the other table is? Next table is customer. Okay. Select all from dbo dot customer, I'm not able to type, as cust, short form, right? Okay, to join them I can do this, get rid of this select all from, right? Inner join with which table? dbo.customer as cust, and we join based on a key. So when we join, we'll say on what keys are common? Sales rep and the sales rep. There is one common factor between these two, and I can verify that as well while I'm working. I can go design query in editor, and I'll go here and I'll say select wrap and select customer, and it shows me the bonding. Here you go, rep ID is joined with rep. That's the only one key joining another key, right? But this time I'm, instead of following it what SSMS can do, I'm more of a writer, so I'm writing it out. And I am doing it a little differently. I'm creating my own aliases. That's fine. On rep dot rep underscore ID is equals to cust dot rep ID. I think that's what it is, if I'm not wrong. Yeah, cust dot rep underscore ID. Okay, now here's a problem. All means select all the columns from both the tables, which will be a problem, but right now just leave it at that. Now it's a very mumble jumble data, but that's okay for now. So if I'll say I want everything from the sales rep table, so I can just say rep dot star. So instead of seeing everything where they are joining and seeing everything from the customer and everything from the sales rep, no, I just wanted to say where they are joining, show me everything from the sales rep table, because right now sales rep table is named as wrap because I aliased it. So now if I run this query, number of columns that I'm seeing will be reduced. The number of rows will stay the same because the join is we are not changing the join. We are just changing the visibility of the columns. So if I'll run this, where they are joined, we are seeing all the information from just the sales rep table, but where they are joining. So I see Susan Garcia is repeated again. Susan Garcia is repeated again. There's some duplicates happening. That's okay for now. I know why duplicates are happening, but we can look into duplicates afterwards. But at least the join is there. We'll fix the duplication. At least we are getting somewhere with the query. We are able to join and we are able to show some data. So now let's see what is being asked. Join has happened. And it's going to happen. The duplicate can happen. So 05 is here. Then this 05 is here. Then this guy is here. So I know 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Obviously, where most of the time sales rep has 2 or more orders or something like that that we are seeing the customer they have worked with. So that is why the 12 rows are showing up. Now, in the requirement, what is being asked, sales rep ID, first name and last name of the sales rep, who they represented, and at least one customer with the credit limit of 1000. So we'll come back to that part in a moment. At least means that means a subquery might have to be written. Subquery might have to be written because when we looked at this at least part or the minimum part, that's where we had to write it. But we'll come back to it in a moment. We will verify our data. We have to visually look at it. So let's filter out which column they have requested. Number 1, number 2, and number 3. So sales rep, first name, last name for every sales rep. So instead of saying rep.all, I can just say rep ID. I want to see your rep ID. I want to see your rep dot first underscore name, comma, rep dot last underscore name. Autocomplete is missing, annoying me, but I'm going to do that. And here you go. I've broken it down. So columns are here, which I wanted to show. Run this. So sales rep ID. Now I want to see something more where the credit, what was the question? Credit limit is credit limit of 1000. At least one customer with the credit limit of 1000. So let's show the credit limit from which table. Credit limits is in the customer table. So I need to type cust dot. What is the credit limit? Credit. If it is credit underscore limit or credit underscore limit. So let's look at that. It's credit underscore limit. So I'll say credit underscore limit. Let's show out what's in there. So the credit limit greater than or equals to 1000, let's say. Is it saying greater than or greater than or equals to? At least one customer with the credit limit of 1000. So credit limit of this and Richard Miller. So at least, so this guy is with Donna Smith and this guy works with Richard Miller. So for each of the sales rep, I want to see they are dealing with the customer with the credit limit of 1000. So it means that this guy should come as well and this guy will come as well. Why? Because all the unique reps who are dealing with the customers, and I'm going to repeat this, all the unique sales rep who are dealing with the customers having the credit limit greater than or equals to 1000, let's say. So this guy is a totally different person or different sales rep, and this is a totally different sales rep, and that's what they want. So I want this and this to happen. So I can say where subquery is now in the process. So I need to show from the customer select what is that I want it to filter on credit limit. So I need to find credit. I need to show a column because I will be filtering on credit limit. So I will need to return from the subquery which column? The credit limit column. So credit underscore limit where select credit limit from customer table where credit underscore limit is greater than or equals to 1000. Subquery. So I found two rows. I'm not going to show everything about it. I'm just saying where credit limit is greater than 1000, and I can say that group by, or I can use something else, group by. And if I want to remove the duplicates because these are repeating part, I can remove it by saying group by credit underscore limit. Group, what it does, it if there are duplicates, it merges them into one. There is another way we can remove the duplicates and merge them into one. So I'm just saying credit limit, group by credit limit. So let's see, there are two rows that are coming. Up until this point, there are two people in the customers table that have credit limit greater than or equals to 1000, isn't it? Yes, we know that. This guy and this guy, two rows. Or we can say where we don't need to even write that. Actually, we should have done it without that. So credit, I will come back to that in a moment. Credit, I'll come back to that, to the complicated stuff that is underneath. Credit underscore limit greater than or equals to 1000. Let's keep it to that for now. If I run this now, Donna Smith and Richard Miller are coming up here. I have gone a little bit complicated on it, so don't worry about this part. But I can incorporate this as well, saying that this one removed, and I can say cut this subquery, put it here, done. Because I know if I run this query, this duplicate piece is merged into one, which is 1000, and it is returning 1000, which is there. Or I will get the same answer in this case, but I would have it totally ignored it and put a 1000 here. I just wanted to show you that this is the way we can do it. So now I'm seeing Donna is coming here and Richard is coming here. So if I reread the question now, sales rep ID, their first name and last name for every sales rep who represents for every sales rep. So it means it has to be two duplicate, more than, it could be more than one sales rep. For every sales rep, find out if that sales rep is dealing with a customer whose credit limit is 1000 or more. It doesn't say 1000 or more, but if I even leave it as 1000, it should work. I'm dealing with 1000 or more, so I can put it this way. What does group by does? Group by removes the duplicate, group them together. So there are two ways I can remove the duplicates. I will show you now. Select all from customers, select credit limit from customers. These are all the credit limits. So I'm going to find out all the credit limits. So I see 1000 and 1000 greater than and equals to 1000. So how many will come? Two of them will come. If I run this query, everything else is ignored. And now if I have two, I need to show one. So I will going to say bunch them together and show them as one. Bunch them together and show them as one. So for SQL, it is just the data. It will bunch them together and just show them as one. Another way to write the same query. One way, second way. Remove the group by. Duplicates will start to reappear. Put the distinct in between, or distinct at the start. Distinct means unique. I want to make it a unique. So group by at the end, removed, distinct added to the start. You will be doing this a lot. Group by part. If you are making reports, you will be grouping items together. Hard yards will be done at the SQL part. Formatting parts will be done on the Crystal reports or any other software. You will write everything in the back end, throw the data to the front end, formatize it at the front end, grouping them, summarize them, whatever you want to do. So you learned group by and distinct as well. But it is not as easy. Sometimes it gets really confusing when you add a group by or distinct. We'll come back to those queries when we'll go further in the chapters. Question number 10. For each invoice placed on November 15th, list the invoice number, item ID, item description, and category for each item ordered. Each item ordered. Okay, so each item that is ordered. So we have to look at this. The invoice number can come from the invoice table. Okay. This is just the item on hand or category. So we need to show the invoice number. The item ID is available in the invoice line. That's good. We don't need to go to the items table at the moment. So far, so good. So invoice number can be fetched from the invoice table. So keep in mind when you are working with multiple tables, go to the parent table first. What is the parent table? Where it is not duplicated. In this invoices column, in this invoices table, invoice number is not duplicated. It means this is the parent table. 14216, 14219, only once. How many times it is appearing here? 14219, 14219. It means this is the detail table. This is the master or the parent or whatever you call it, and this one is the child table or the detail table. So in the master, you always start with the master table. So you can get the invoice number from which table? The master table. The item ID, you will get it from invoice line table. There is no way that you can stay on the invoices table and get the item ID. You need to get out of this table. What is the joining part of these two tables? What is gluing it together? The invoice number, not the customer ID. Customer ID is gluing the invoice table with the customer. You need to join invoice with the invoice line items. So to get the item ID, you need to join invoice with the invoice line item table. So invoice will be joined with this to get the invoice item ID. Then the item description. Problem is item description is not in the invoice line. Where is the invoice? Where is the description? Description lies in the item table. Okay. So can I live without the invoice line? Can I live without the invoice line? Because all I need is the invoice number, the item ID, item description, and item category. But the problem here, invoice table has no direct correlation with the item table. For invoices, it has to go and join itself with this invoice line to get the item ID, and then this item ID is taking it to which table? Item table. So there is no direct connection from invoice to this. You have to go through, for going from Edmonton to Calgary, you have to pass through Red Deer. So you have to pass through the invoice line table. So you have to include this in between. So let's go back into this SSMS structure. Either type it out or either do a shortcut. Let's do a shortcut this time because 3 tables are coming in. So invoice, add, invoice line, add, item, add, close. Join is written for you. In this complicated join is written for you, but it's not as complicated as it looks. Invoice is joined with the invoice line on invoice table when it is joined with the invoice number with the invoice line's invoice number. Once that join is done, you will again do another join with the invoice line joining with the item ID, and here you go. And these lines show that. What columns are required now? All you need to do, go back to the requirement, forget about filter of which date we are coming. We can come back to the date or a specific credit limit. We can come back to the specifics really afterwards. First, identify the join. First thing first. Second thing, look at what columns they are asking. Throw all the columns. Don't worry. Throw all the columns. And then once you get the desired result, all of them together in one shot, you will have a lot of detail on the screen first time. But don't worry about it. Throw all the columns and then start to get rid of it. Select all the columns. Select all the columns. Select all the columns. Now, what columns they are asking? So let's run this. If I'll just click OK, it will not be a good thing. So I'm just going to say which columns they are asking me. So I'm just going to uncheck that out. They are asking me to put the invoice number. Oh, okay, invoice number. The second column is they are asking item ID. I can get the item ID from here or I can get the item ID from here. Really doesn't matter. Both of them are the same because they are joining. They are equivalent join. Next, item description and category. I cannot get item description and category from the invoice line because it's just talking about that. So category description first, category afterward, or category first, description afterwards. really doesn't matter. Click OK. I did not press enter, so I will press enter here. Did I mess something? I did mess something. I did not press enter and I started in the middle, so I'll just copy and paste this. This is the answer. Oh, I have, yes. Invoice number, item description, item ID, description, category. 5 would be you. I will type this out. It is easy life these days, so if you don't want to type this out, that's okay. Tool has made it